Star Wars fans. Hey, you know there are just 332 days until Christmas 2022. Hello, everybody. Ducky Momo, I saw stopped in, couldn't stay, but wanted to drop in. You guys, do me a huge favor if you would. Consider subscribing to the channel if you're not, and give a thumbs up on the video. Maybe share it out to other folks. Let them know what we're doing out here. It's been really helping. I've been seeing the stats on YouTube. The content creator side are trending in the right direction. We're going the right direction. It's fantastic, and you guys are absolutely great. Sheev the Wise is here. Peter Griffin, Young Yoda, Mike Porter. Oh, Mike Porter's in the house. Abby, good to see you, and Ronnie Dale Urban is here as well. So you guys, thank you so much for being here. Mark Hamilton. Thanks for stopping in. And you guys, you see at the bottom on the scroller, we've got the Wall of Fame. The Wall of Fame, this is a game that we play every week. It's you put in your predictions for the next episode of the Book of Boba Fett. There are 20 questions, 19 yes and no's, and the one where you get to think of what might happen. And then if that happens, you get a point. And we then count up all the points. If you get more points than Santa, then you go as many. You got to tie or beat Santa to make it onto the Wall of Fame. And you see the first one there, Bouncin' Birdie. Bouncin' Birdie, Jumpin' Jamie's daughter. She's 6 years old. Jumpin' Jamie's daughter, Bouncin' Birdie, 6-year-old, made it onto the Wall of Fame with 15 points. So congratulations, Birdie. And then you'll see everybody else listed there as well. My good friend Star Wars Meg is there, and many others. So it's a fun game to play. I put the link to week 6 prediction form in the description, as well as I pinned it in the chat. So you guys feel free to put those in. And Matt Rissman is here too. Hello. Yaddy. And you know who else is here? Who else is here is my friend, a Magic Maker. Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
How do I sound?
You sound great. And it looks like your icon changed.
Oh yes, I'm now a dot.
Yeah. a little pink face.
I know. I got an account now, but it still won't let me change the picture.
Okay, well, we're getting closer. Your sound is much better this week than it was last, and we've seemed to have resolved that. We're getting closer and closer to actually getting a Magic Maker's, what do you call that? It's
back to normal.
Well, okay. Anyway, Avatar is the word I was trying to think of. Avatar. We're getting closer to getting Magic Maker's avatar on there, the logo that he uses for his channel. And we've got a lot of topics to discuss today. Let me just kind of run through them, and then we'll get to the main topics, the Book of Boba Fett. There's a lot to talk about there.
Yes, I was quite surprised by this. I mean, it was, to say the least, it was not what I expected.
Yeah, so we'll be getting there, and then we also have our fan film of the week. It's The Return of Inquisitor, which is it'd be a lot of fun to talk about as well. It's just a 3-minute film, so it doesn't take long to view, but there's some interesting things to talk about in relation to it. So let me bring up this screen here, and the first is Bryce Dallas Howard. She is. She was the director of this last episode of the Book of Boba Fett. And we see that she is going to be in The Mandalorian Season 3. And I think a lot of us are very excited to see Bryce Dallas Howard directing, especially after that last episode.
No, I think so too. I actually would like to see her go beyond just The Mandalorian. I like her style. So I'm enjoying it. And I think she does like the relationship, what's the word I'm looking for?
Interpersonal,
blocking.
Yeah.
So like when you block the film to really visually capture relationships and between people, I think she does a really good job of that. So from a direction standard, I like how she blocks the things that she does, and I would love to see that in the film.
I would, and you said film, and that's where I am as well. I would love to see her do a Star Wars movie. Like,
Right.
it's great to see her do an episode of the Book of Boba Fett. It's great to see her involved with the Mandalorian, these Disney Plus live action series. But I think she's earned her chops to do a movie.
I agree.
Yeah. And I'm with Mike Porter. Give her a trilogy, for Pete's sake. Give her the reins. Let her direct. We know that we've got some great storytellers involved with the writing of Star Wars. And we've got some fantastic directors, Bryce Dallas Howard being among them. And she is quickly rising among the fans to be one of a fan favorite director within the franchise. So,
Right. I would still like to see 3 different directors for a trilogy, but I would like to see one writer, so that we're continuing in the mode of a single writer. But I still like the idea of having different views. So, like, if I had to pick 3 people that I would want to do a trilogy, say in the next trilogy for Star Wars, it would be Deborah Chow, it'd be Bryce Dallas Howard, and I think I'd pick Taika Waititi. I like the ones he did in the Mandalorian. So, and I kind of like his quick style of stuff.
I see. They're all learning together. They're all doing this together. They're collaborating together. We saw that in the in those docu-series that they did, and we can see that as they collaborate, the stories flow really well together, even though you've got different directors, because they do have, as Mike Porter and Man on the Moon, like folks are saying, there's one vision, right? So you've got great writers behind it with John and Dave overseeing that work, and then the directors are coming in and applying their craft, and they're doing quite well. And Bryce Dallas Howard, some of the imagery, and we'll talk more about the episode in just a moment, but that's she is doing a tremendous job. she definitely deserves more, right?
Oh, I agree, absolutely.
Major props. Hey, major props in Magic Maker. I can hear an echo of myself coming through your mic. Oh. So I don't know what's causing that, but there you have it. But major props. He makes some custom Star Wars things, and he is in our Discord. Major props has never quite liked BDH as an actor, but she's quickly become a favorite director, and I enjoy when I get to see folks. You mentioned Taika Waititi. Taika Waititi shows up as an actor here or there and a director. And so we see the same sort of thing. Yes, we did see some scenes from Terminator 2. I thought, when she did the episode of The Mandalorian Season 2, that very much mirrored the work that her dad did on, Apollo 11? Apollo 13? Yeah. Apollo 13? Yeah. Apollo 13. It had the same cinematography as that. And here we got to see some Terminator 2. We got to see some callbacks to other movies.
No, it was really good. I really enjoyed the way they did that.
She did such a good job. Such a good job. So it's exciting to see that she's coming back again to direct some Mando Season 3. And some people might argue that has already started. Mando Season 3.
Yeah, I think it's well underway.
We got episode 1 just a couple days ago. Some people say. So.
Yes, that would be my take on that. Not what I expected.
The other bit of news, and look, I'm stealing a lot of this from Star Wars Meg. Meg, her video today, she went through a lot of news, and I just picked up with the same stories just to discuss them briefly here as well. Is the ObiWan Kenobi actor says that the trailer is going to blow people's minds. Oh, we've heard that before. We heard the Book of Boba Fett's all killer, no thriller. It's going to exceed everybody's expectations, and it's mixed, isn't it?
Yeah. But I mean, to say the trailer will blow our minds, that might be true.
It might, but I like to say
trailer is one thing. The story or the show is a different thing. So, say the trailer will blow our mind. I mean, like I was kind of blown away, with excitement and expectations, for the Book of Boba Fett. So I was, when you got those advertisers, you're like, but then you get to the show and you're like,
Well, that's what I'm saying. I just temper expectations when they say blow people's minds. Sometimes it doesn't meet those expectations that people develop in their minds, and
that's true. The shows for sure, but their job of the trailers to get you to watch it.
Yeah, well, I've seen trailers get torn apart as well. So I just temper expectations. I hope that it blows people's minds. I hope that it's super exciting. I hope that it gets people hyped for the series. But we'll wait and see. I just calm, deep breath. We'll see what happens. Right. Major props is absolutely right. Have zero expectations. You'll always be surprised, pleasantly or otherwise. That's right. That's right.
I don't think that's possible to have zero expectations.
It is kind of hard. It is kind of hard. And Nikki is here. It says they never end up mattering once content comes out. You're not, again, she's not wrong. There's even been cases where trailers don't have content that's in the actual thing they're advertising, right? So,
no, absolutely.
And that's happened in Star Wars before as well. Like you see these scenes and you watch the movie, you're like, wait, what happened to the thing? The thing that was in the thing.
What happened to that scene? What happened to that scene?
What happened? So yeah,
hey, that line's not in there.
That thing didn't happen. What? Wait, hold on. It's like the cover of a comic book. You're like, you see the cover of the comic book, you read the comic book, and you're like, wait, that never happened. Like,
false advertising.
There's a lot of that. Mark's saying, what trailer? We'll get it 5 weeks out. Well, this guy says that they're trying to make sure that they don't get a Game of Thrones coffee cup moment, right? So that they're really going through. Let's see, where does it say here? Oh, it must be way at the top. Let's see. Where is it? New Hope, Understanding. There it is. It says, I think a big part of it is Lucasfilm. So people are saying, where's the trailer? What's happening? Right? And he says, I think a big part is Lucasfilm is trying to make sure it's polished as possible. So when it comes out, it's not going to have a Game of Thrones moment where there's a coffee cup in the corner that they missed or something like that. Like Blue Jeans guy.
That's what I was thinking. Why don't you refer to your own stuff? Blue Jeans. I mean, you don't need a coffee cup reference. Just a Blue Jeans guy moment.
Right. Blue Jeans guy. Right. So they want to avoid that, which is fine. But, my complaint is we've got 2 episodes left. We got 2 weeks left of the Book of Boba Fett. We have no clue. Well, we have clues, but it's only clues. Everybody's uncle, Bob. Bob's your uncle. Bob's here. Good to see you. But my complaint is we've got 2 weeks left. We only have hints and leaks and rumors of when the next series is going to come out and even what the next series is going to be. Right? So there's some hints and leaks that maybe the Bad Batch season 2 is coming out in the spring, but no definition around it. There's hints and rumors that Kenobi series is coming out in May, but there's no concrete list that says here's when these shows are coming out, and that's largely true of Marvel, the MCU content on Disney Plus as well. And my friend Fanjecture, Adam was in our chat the other day saying that it's Disney Plus's strategy to not tell us, and I'm like, oh, I don't like their strategy. Let's put it that way.
So we don't stop our subscription and just wait to come back when it comes back on.
Well, yeah, not only that, but it keeps us talking about it, right?
Right.
Like when you're speculating about it, then you're talking about it. When you're talking about it, that's free, free advertising.
That's what we're doing right now. We're giving free advertising.
That's exactly it. But you know, to take Adam's point to its extreme is then why do we even know what's coming? Like, how do we know that next week we're getting episode 6? Maybe it won't be until April. I mean, you know, it's like at some point we need to know what we're going to see tomorrow.
Right. I mean, but they do it. I mean, they just kind of, when they give you the 5 week out, you know, trailers.
Right.
You know, it's confirmed.
right. Mark is absolutely right. So the next we'll get here in just a moment, but let's skip over to this tab. Anthony Daniels was spotted in some MoCap. Right, he's in a motion capture suit, and the talk is that it's for the new Disney Plus series of a Droid Story. So that's exciting to finally get some news that they're working on a Droid Story.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting that we'll be getting that. I'm glad to see Anthony Daniels coming back. That's good to know that we're trying to keep some original people. We're not doing it all by you know, what's the word I'm looking for? CGI. I mean, it obviously will be a CGI, but there's at least some motion in there that it's the actual actor playing him.
Bob, this is great. Why did they accidentally release Mandalorian season 3 episode 1? They were supposed to have episode 5 of the Book of Boba Fett. Good one, Bob.
I am so glad I'm not the only one that felt that way.
I think everybody feels that way. I think everybody does. It's really good. I think we're all really happy with what we got, but that's generally the thought. Now,
yeah, I mean, I kind of hate to say that was, to me, that was the best episode so far.
Oh, I think everybody's been saying it. Like practically every YouTube channel I've watched, every video I've watched, every article I've read says that this was the best episode of the Book of Boba Fett for the season to date, and it ranks amongst the very best episodes of any Star Wars Disney Plus content. So that's quite high praise considering. Yeah. Kind of the awards and how well Mandalorian has been doing, which may not be coincidental.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of sad at the same time of being happy. You know, I'm happy that we got it. I'm sad that it's the best episode of the Book of Boba Fett so far.
Right.
Anyway.
Right. So before we go, so I mentioned the predictions before I brought you on. Right here, this is one of the things that folks have been talking about is this article. Let's see here if I can go to the top. This is by Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason's known for leaks and rumors and that kind of thing. And in the Cinelinx article, he says straight up that he had heard some rumors, but he heard in the past that Grogu and Luke, who he's with, would appear in the Book of Boba Fett, but he didn't run it as a story because he doesn't like posting scoops of giveaway story stuff. Well, we have heard rumors of Luke and Grogu in the Book of Boba Fett for months.
Right.
And this is just another one of those. Plus, it was heavily implied that, Din straight up comes and says, right, I need to go visit my little friend before I come and help you. Right.
Right.
And he was sort of intent, even with the armorer, and saying, I want something for, Will, is Santa wearing a kimono? No, I've just got a Ohio State zip-up hoodie on. That's all. That's all. He had that. He said, I want something for a what's the word he used?
Foundling.
A foundling. Yes, a foundling. And she's like, okay. And he says, a particular foundling, as you said, right? So, and then he wants it made for Grogu. And he
Right.
says specifically Grogu. And now he's got his little Grogu pouch, right? It was nice. I heard to tie that up in a nice little Grogu pouch,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
he's
Looks
got
like Grogu chainmail.
it does look like Grogu chainmail.
So he's going to have his mithril.
Right, right. So it looks very much like that's the case. The question has been, is that going to happen on screen or off screen? What do you think?
I think that's what we're seeing this next time. So maybe the surprise is going to not show us that, but I think that's what we're going to see this next time. So, I mean, I think the rumor is true, and I think we're going to see very little Boba Fett in this next episode. I think we'll see him. I don't think we're going to go 2 episodes without seeing Boba Fett, but
All right. I know. At this point, I'm like, I don't know.
So,
me,
but yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, we had that conversation about the N1. I just didn't see him in it, and there it was.
There it was.
And I was just like, really?
Right. So to just kind of chase that a little bit, I don't think he's going to keep the N1 long term. It's a short term solution. I do think that eventually he's going to want another Razor Crest or something of that kind. Just if you think about,
I don't know. I can just see little Grogu's head up in that little.
I can too,
dome.
but think about the other things. He had a whole weapons cache, a weapons locker with all kinds of weapons in it, and that N1 doesn't exactly lend itself to a weapons locker. Let alone,
I mean, I agree that it doesn't have all the room that the Razor Crest had in it, but I mean, I guess it depends on where he sees his future going. So if his intent is to remain on task as a bounty hunter, then he is then sure that doesn't meet the criteria. But if he obviously he's got to go. I mean, obviously we have now fully gone into the episode, so that's he's obviously given the task that he's got to go and bathe in the waters of the mines of Moria, and as it were, in the mines of Mandalore, and so that's his task. So he now has a new task ahead of him, so that he can redeem himself. So I mean, that's I don't know. I think that's probably where he's on path to do, and so I'm not convinced that he's going to give it up. But of course, I didn't think that he was going to have an N1 either, so I could be way wrong on that.
well, yeah, you can keep reading that Wall of Fame, and you'll notice there's a name not on there. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
there's, but again,
this one was completely unexpected for me. I mean, I really didn't see it was going to go where it went.
The scores were much lower this week. Last week we had a couple of 20 out of 20s. First time that's ever happened. We had a 20 out of 20. This week the high is 15. Right? So I think a lot of people were taken a little off guard here in this episode. So the question, I think, then is long term is, or say even medium term, is Din going to move away from bounty hunting? Is he leaving that profession behind?
Yeah, I think he is. I think he's moving into. I'm not saying he's going to give up fighting, but I think bounty hunting as his profession is not the task he's going to do. I think he's got other things he's got to do.
Santa needs a kimono.
Yes.
Will Morgan, that's hilarious, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I think Mando eventually get the ghost. Well, that's interesting. I mean, Hera Syndulla's got the ghost right now, presumably, and the N1 will lock onto the side of it. Now, I saw some speculation about that as well. Maybe he'll get a Razor Crest, and it'll have an attachment for an N1, or he'll get some other kind of freighter of some sort that an N1 can attach to. Much like
maybe he kills Bosk and takes his.
Oh, right. Bosk has been speculated quite a bit, and with all of the, are the Trandoshans that we've seen in the Book of Boba Fett, are they foreshadowing of Bosk, or is it not? That's a good question. And I'm with Nikki. I think he gets a bigger ship for sure. And here's the thing. I'm sort of on the edge on, is he going to go back to bounty hunting? Is he going to continue bounty hunting? Because that N1, even with the back seat, is not going to meet his bounty hunting needs. I'm sure he's got the dark saber. We'll talk about that a little bit too. He's got the dark saber and he's got his armament that can wear on his body, but there's no weapons locker. There's certainly no carbonite freezing chamber, right? There's nowhere to haul blocks of carbonite unless you attach them to the underbelly. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he enjoyed it though, so I mean, he saw the utility of having it. So,
and Will asks, is there any hope whatsoever that this is Anakin's N1? No, Will. Sadly, there's not. People have compared the writing on the side of the cockpit. That's the symbols aligned there to the symbols that were on this one, and they're completely different. So, not the case. Not the case.
Well, it's multiple parts, so maybe it could have been parts of Anakin's.
Oh, he could have a
piece.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell. He could have a rudder from that one or some internal.
Right. And obviously, she said she had to custom make some pieces, so we know that it's not.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not his N1. It's
not solely his for sure.
For sure, but it could be something. Right. So there's a bunch of that. Lucas 2006 says Cobb Vanth has Annie's speeder. Oh, we did see the from the and again we're kind of just here and there, the pod racing, right? So Cobb Vanth was using one of the engines from Anakin's pod racer,
right?
At least that's speculated.
Yeah, for his speeder bike. That's right.
Right. And then there's a lot of talk about this Jedi Fallen Order game.
BD1 in there?
Well, there's BD1, but also Jedi Fallen Order 2 is it going to be released this year. It is slated to be released fourth quarter 2022, winter 2022, so November, December, right in time for the holidays. We'll see.
I think that's about right.
Yeah, we'll see if it happens or not, but right now that's when it's scheduled. But so let's see. Yeah.
I mean, then they talked about 2 other games coming out too. So we're getting a first-person shooter and a strategy game, right? So that was in that same news.
And Lucas 2006 asked, "Do you think they'll bring Cal into the Mandoverse?" As we're talking about that Jedi Fallen Order.
I think they definitely hinted at it. So one way or the other, we might find out some information about that. So I mean, not to say that BD there is definitively Cal's, but I mean, we have R5, and that's definitely hinted at being the one from A New Hope. So I'm almost, I can't see them not giving us this little piece of information in it not being Cal's BD.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about that BD droid. A lot. And I know Will Morgan was really making a strong argument for it being Cal Kestis's. And that Cal is, he's been going from Jedi Temple to Jedi Temple in the game. Again, I'm taking this all word of mouth. I've not played the game, but and he is making an argument that he's in. I got to go look it up and see. He made an argument that it was on one of the. I got to get there. He'll probably put it in the chat before I find it. But he was thinking that Cal might be on. I think he's saying Tatooine and a lost temple there from Rakatan, Rakatan.
Yeah, he's referring to the Rakatans. You know, from because we know we're also going to be getting a remake of KOTOR, right? So that's the Rakatans. So that means they're bringing them into, well, assuming that they still use the Rakatans to explain how all the everything came into being, and um, their terraforming technology, and which explains tremendous amount of all the worlds in the Star Wars galaxy and the Infinite Empire. Assuming they bring all that in with the remake of KOTOR and make that canon, then yes, we're going to be right there in the middle of it, and we're going to see why and how Tatooine used to be covered with water. We'll see all those different things, and I think it'll be very interesting. And I always thought that was always kind of my theory anyway when they talk about being a moisture farmer. So like I never, people always think that what they do is draw the moisture out of the atmosphere.
Right.
And so I don't think that's what they do at all. I think they actually literally farm the dirt which is gypsum, and then they turn that and they would basically dehydrate the gypsum and create water from it, because gypsum is a mineral that you can do that with. So there's a way.
Yeah. Well, they've been with what we've seen this season in the Book of Boba Fett, and finding those black gourds that hold water in them or liquid. Then right. I think it strongly supports what you're saying, because I always assumed it was pulling it out of the atmosphere as well, but it seems that there's plenty of moisture in the sand that can be pulled out, and if that has gypsum in it and it can pull that out of the gypsum, that'd be fine. Or the equivalent in Star Wars world, right? Like right. Star Wars world, they can pull it.
It's a sand mineral. They call it what they want to, but basically it's gypsum, right? So
right.
I mean that's the sands of Kuwait and Iraq, right? So I mean that's exactly what those are. So
yeah. So I think that very well could be the case. I also think that, so we talked about foreshadowing with Bosk. Do you think Bosk is going to show up, or just don't know?
I don't know, but I think so. I think we're going to get a couple we're still going to get a couple of these, and I think that ultimately, I want Mando to get his ship. I kind of like Bosk's ship, and so for all of its quirkiness, and I don't like Bosk very much, so I'd like to see.
Lucas says, I bet the Ahsoka series take place on Tatooine. I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
And the reason,
it's going to be in the unknown regions.
Slow your roll. The logo on the Ahsoka logo that for the series comes straight off of the Lothal Temple that you see in Rebels. It's an exact duplicate of the what you see in that Lothal Temple up in the ceiling when he's talking with Yoda, and he's this thing comes up around, and when you look at that and you look at the logo, they're exactly the same. I think Ahsoka is going to be based off of or out of Lothal, or there's going to have some connection to Lothal.
No, I'm not denying that, but I think that the sense that you have the same things inside. I mean, so like you can tie that Ahsoka symbol to Jedi Fallen Order and the aspect of where he's meditating, and that meditation circle that you have in there, and the symbols in that. So, and those both match with what you see in the temple.
Well, it's not so exact. Like when you watch.
No, I'm not saying it's exact, but I'm just saying that you can align them, because I have aligned them. So I mean, I've put them on top of one another to see if they were the same, and they're very similar, except that you have different locations of planets.
I see. Well, I think, and people keep saying the world between worlds, and I don't think that's it. It's in the Lothal Temple. I think it's a map. I think it might perhaps be a map of Jedi Temples. Now, might there be portals to the world between worlds in different Jedi Temples? Sure. We know there's one in the Lothal Temple, but we don't know if there are portals in other Jedi Temples, if they're connected. But we do know that map shows up in the ceiling in the Lothal Temple, and it is not from the same place where the portal to the world between worlds is. They're two different images, two different colors, two different shapes, two different. Everything's different between the world between worlds portal that is in the Lothal Temple and that map that's on the ceiling when Ezra talks with Yoda. So I think it's a map. It was just my speculation. It's a map of Jedi Temples, and it's in the Lothal Temple. And I think we're going to see, which makes sense. Like Ahsoka's looking for.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. I would actually say it's more of nexus points, and I think the Jedi's have a lot of temples on these nexus points.
You're right.
I would kind of.
You're right, but where I was headed with it is Ezra's from Lothal. Right. Ahsoka's looking for Ezra. The Lothal Temple map matches the logo. There's lots of clues that Lothal is going to be central to the Ahsoka series, and I think we're going to see.
Well, we know it's going to begin there, right?
Well,
I mean, we don't. Where the end, to some degree, we know because that's where. Right. Because that's where Rebels ends, right?
Logic takes you there, is sort of what I'm saying. It's like there's lots of clues that Lothal is going to be featured heavily, much like Navarro is in Mandalorian and Tatooine is in Boba Fett. I think Lothal is going to be in Ahsoka series as well. So
I think it will be in there, but I don't think that we're going to stay there.
Oh no, she's got to go. She's out looking, right? So she's not going to just hang out there. So we have strayed. Down some rabbit holes. Look, let's just go. This has got a nice little summary in it. So look, this article here by Jordan Mason kind of works as a nice little outline for discussion. So episode 5 of the Book of Boba Fett, or season 3, episode 1 of the the Book of Din Djarin, whatever you want to look at that. This episode featured Din right off the get-go. He's in a meat locker, very reminiscent of like Godfather-esque like mob movies, right? Aren't they frequently in meat freezers?
Yes, I actually have a problem with this scene.
Yeah,
and you know what my problem with the scene is?
No clue.
It is the plastic drop-down cooler thing. Yeah. I was like, they have technology for like for force fields. Why would they need a plastic drop-down from the meat locker? They would just have it would be a force field that would keep it in. And so for a moment I went, well, I'm back here on Earth. Get rid of that. I mean, even if it was a force field version of that, I would much rather see that. So it was. I mean, I know it's something simple, but it is. In that moment, it took me right out of the story. I was like, right from the beginning, I went.
Oh,
it looks like anybody's deep freeze right here on Earth. Stop that.
I loved it. I do, just because look, it's callbacks to like these movies, and I get your point. Like they use that field there to keep out the vacuum of space. It should certainly keep in the cold of the freezer, right? I get your point, but this is clearly a visual clue.
No, I mean I got it. I mean it's not like I didn't know exactly what it was to and what we were calling to. I just was like, I would have rather seen a high tech version of it, and a Star Wars version of the cold curtain.
And I loved everything in this sequence. Where he goes in and talks to the boss sitting there and says, I'm looking at you. And the whole thing, right? The whole sequence.
That doesn't look anything like me.
Yeah, it was great. And somebody has pointed out that BDH shot the longest continuous sequence in Star Wars through this scene. No cuts. And that it's just, she's getting some credit for that as well. I thought it was brilliant. I loved it, and It was great. Even the battle. So there's a battle where he brings out the darksaber, right? And he manages to hurt himself. And so some people have been saying, well, wait a second. It's his weapon. How did he hurt himself with his own weapon? Well, if you've ever been involved with combat or a fight, it gets messy. And I don't at all think that it's unrealistic that he would accidentally hurt himself.
And if you haven't really trained with it, we've always talked about that. Like you're like, you just cut yourself, cut your leg off.
Right. Don't look down the hilt of a lightsaber. Just don't do it. Don't. And that's kind of made it. But he sliced the dude in half with it. It was fantastic. It was really, really good. And I thought that everything in there worked for me, including the subsequent scene. But this whole scene worked really, really well for me. Very Godfather-esque, very mob movie, right? This felt just like...
No, absolutely. It was. It was intended to be.
Yeah, it did. I love this Return of the King. So I wanted to talk about this just a little bit. And I know they're bringing up Return of the King because of the chainmail, right? We see the chainmail being made out of the Beskar sphere. But I want to talk about this a little bit because right after this scene, it comes up and it says, Return of the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian. There were speculations in Mandalorian Season 1 that Din Djarin was going to become the Mandalorian, right? It's been going for some time. And I think that for the first time, I'm starting to buy in. Right? I've not been on board with it because he seemed to have no interest in ruling or leading. Right? He's happy being a bounty hunter. He tried to give up the darksaber, and Bo-Katan wouldn't take it. He has no interest in wielding it for power. And even when he goes and meets with the armorer in a bit, he really doesn't do that either. Right? So he understands the significance of it or whatnot, but it was the heavy armorer who challenged him to get it, and he had a fight with the heavy armorer. But he is the reluctant leader, and I think it's very possible he could end up being the Mandalore, right? Like the Mandalorian, right?
No, he's going to be the Mandalore.
And if that becomes the case, then maybe he's not a bounty hunter. Maybe he doesn't need a bigger vessel because he's going to be housed on Mandalore. He's going to be busy on Mandalore, so he won't be traversing the universe or the lesser space, as the chits like to call it. He won't be going all over the place. He'll be kind of housed there on Mandalore, bringing the houses together and that kind of thing. I think that very well could be the case. And
I think he's obviously got to go there. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. If he wants to redeem himself, he's got to go there.
And by the way, the religious iconography there being what's she call him? It calls him a what's the term for an apostate? An apostate.
Paz Vizsla calls him an apostate.
Yeah, he's an apostate. Yeah, and she then says you got to go be baptized, essentially, right? She doesn't say baptized, but you got to go get immersed in the. You
have to bathe in the waters of the mines of Mandalore.
The living water, water. So all that's got a lot of Christianity, like overlaid in it, really big. I thought that was really good, and so I think it's very possible you could end up with him going there, baptizing himself, right? Bathing in the living water of the mines on Mandalore. And with Christian baptism, it's, you're buried in your old life and you're risen to new life. It's the symbolism.
That was actually one of the things that made me question something, though. So of course, he's asked, have you removed your helmet or had it removed by others? And so here we have, this is asked as soon as the battle is over, right? And in that moment, it's clear that Din Djarin could have removed the helmet of Paz Vizsla. So he's
Sure.
been defeated. He could have had his helmet removed, and there's nothing that nothing that Paz could have done at all. And to me, that's a moment of you've been defeated. Your helmet is now forfeit, and yet that didn't count against him. So I'm curious about this whole thing, because the way that, if you remember when we talked about this before in the first season, when we talked about it, we put this, the real meaning of this really was that have you surrendered, or have you been shamed by your enemy? Being cowardly. Yeah. We speculated on that. And now they're making it out to be some sort of actual effect, so some real thing. We always assume that that they meant that, but that they had kind of taken something to that direction. But now it doesn't seem like that at all from their perspective. Like, it's only the physical removing. It's regardless of shame or otherwise.
Oh yeah.
Well, and so it seems like there's some sort of the meaning is lost somewhere.
Yeah, I thought you were reading deep in it from the get-go, but it was a valid observation. But yeah, I think the point they're trying to make on this dogmatism, right, to being so dogmatic in views, that and I was watching Star Wars Newsnet talk about this as well. There's been in recent Star Wars a lot of challenging dogma, right? So Luke challenging the dogma of the Jedi. You even saw that back with the prequels, with Dooku challenging the dogma of the Jedi Order. You see that in the High Republic novels. There's some folks beginning to challenge the dogma of the Jedi Order. And here you see where this particular group of Mandalorians have a very firm dogma. And wearing the helmet is quite literally wearing the helmet. And that's it. Right, you don't take it off. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're hungry. It doesn't matter if you're thirsty. It doesn't matter. Have you taken it off? That's it. So if anybody has seen you with it off, then it doesn't matter why, how, or anything else. It's just simply that. So, but I want to stop real quick and come right back to this because I hadn't finished my thought before. So,
sorry.
So when he goes to the living water of Mandalore, I was talking about baptism, right? You're buried in your old life, you're risen to new life. Well, I think that we very well could see that sort of symbolism with Din leaving his old life of being a bounty hunter, rising to new life as the leader of Mandalore. So anyway, that's what
certainly we will. I think that's exactly what's going to be the trend. I mean, they're giving us so many hints. I mean, this for all effective purposes, just became Mandalorian season 3 or 2.5. I mean, even though we're dealing with Boba Fett, for all intents and purposes, this is what this became, and what we have is a picture of how Boba Fett is going to fit into this whole thing. That's what we're getting. That's how he's going to fit into the whole thing of the Mandalorian and how the Mandalorians are going to come together.
Yeah, I think that's where we're headed as well. And Randy 818. Randy asked, I thought he left the religion when he took his helmet off in season 2. I thought he purposely made that decision as well. And I'm curious, just because he had that thing with the armor, and he does seem that he's going to go back and get baptized in the living water on Mandalore for sure. But he also knows there's a broader view of being Mandalorian. You want to be a member of that covert. You want to be a member of the Children of the Watch or whatever, right? That particular sect. Then yeah, you got to go do that. But I don't think that he would necessarily hold on to quite a dogmatic, narrow view of who is Mandalorian. I think he will accept Bo-Katan as being Mandalorian. He'll accept that Boba Fett has a certain tradition tied back to Mandalore. He already let Boba Fett keep his armor because he had that chain code. I think that when he meets Sabine eventually, Sabine will certainly qualify as being Mandalorian. He won't necessarily hold on to this very, very narrow dogmatic view. That's my own opinion.
I think you're going to find that what's going to return is something like the raison d'arc. So there's the 6 tenets of what it means to be Mandalorian, and so and this aspect is what I think we're going to get. I think if they bring that full circle and have it reestablished under a new Mandalore who is which respects the old ways but understands the new and how things have changed, and says this is what the core of being Mandalorian is, and that's what the Resonare was when you talked about it from Legends. And if there's anything that I've gathered from Filoni and then from Favreau is that they like Legends, so they're going to be pulling stuff in, and so they'll pick and choose what they think is appropriate, but they don't discount it.
It was a funny line. A lot of people picked up on it too about the Mythosaur. Too bad it's only Legends, right? That was so funny because it's sort of like a little a little meta for our friend Will Morgan.
A little breaking of the fourth wall.
For our friend Will Morgan in Meta Egg, that was a little meta when he said, "Too bad it's only Legends," because the Mythosaur was, of course, decanonized. It was never canon in my view, but it was officially labeled Legends material when they split out the EU. And labeled it so. Anyway, it's kind of funny. So, and I like this comment from Will. Grogu survives Kylo because mithril. Well, I do think he's going to get the armor. He's going to get that chainmail. And my own opinion on this is that we are going to follow Din. We're going to see Din meet Grogu and Luke on screen. It's not going to be off screen. Some people have been saying it's off.
I think so too. I think it's on screen. I think there's just too many hints, and that we get too many rumors. So far rumors are proving true.
Right. I think so too.
I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I think Grogu is going to leave Luke's academy. There's some comic book or indication that Ben was Luke's first student in his academy.
Hamilton, I love the wizard drop. I'm sorry. I love the wizard. I was wizard. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's so good. But I don't think Luke has started his academy. Just because he took Grogu to train doesn't mean he started his academy. And I think by the time he starts his academy, Ben will be his first student. So it will still meet with the content of that book. So, or that
we'll see.
comic.
We'll see. I mean, it's a comic, so they changed comics before. So,
I say Ben returned. Ben turned into Kylo. Luke sends Grogu to Dagobah. Be so happy when Rey goes to Dagobah to learn from Grogu. Oh, RF Gaming Channel. RF Gaming Channel. You are now my favorite. You're not my favorite. I would be absolutely thrilled to death to see post Rise of Skywalker, to see Rey go to Dagobah, find Grogu there, and train with Grogu. How awesome would that be? I'm in for it.
Jedi Mandalorian Yoda
Let's do
character.
Let's do it. Oh, funny.
I would love to see when she gets there, the ears sticking out with the Mandalorian helmet on.
Well, that's not going to happen because he's going to have the chainmail, right? He had chainmail made, not a helmet. But I do think he'll be wearing chainmail.
Not yet.
I don't think he'll need it
yet.
Yeah, he's not going to need it. He's not going to have a helmet. But anyway, let's see.
I'm just saying it'd be funny if he had a helmet on.
It would be funny, but it's not going to happen. But anyway, and I do think that Grogu is going to leave Luke, and he's going to keep with.
No, I think you're right.
He's going to stick with Din. And again, for those keeping score, I'm going to bring up Paper Moon again. And many of you have not heard of Paper Moon.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I know you're bringing up Paper Moon again.
I know many of you have not heard of it, but Jon Favreau said that The Mandalorian was largely influenced by Paper Moon. It largely follows the same story beats as Paper Moon in a Star Wars universe. And go watch Paper Moon and watch how it ends, and then you'll also come to this conclusion that Grogu is not staying with Luke very long at all. Like,
Right.
like this
But
long.
it's
Like,
the only way to keep the what they've done so far canon.
yeah, that's what's going to happen. And he purposely had the chainmail made for a foundling. He
Right.
fully intends on bringing Grogu back as a foundling. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
So it's happening.
Yeah.
It's exactly what's happening. Let me
Yeah,
get caught
I
up.
think you're right. I mean, so I enjoyed the episode. I have one thing that I super really liked. All right, the thing that I liked, and this is it is probably something that nobody cares about, but the one thing I really liked was that we got the shaft that they used to try to pry the compactor apart in A New Hope was right
Oh,
there.
yeah.
I was like, oh, you know.
Right.
So I really liked that attention to detail. I mean, it was a really good piece of attention to detail,
Yeah.
and so I really like that. And then my one complaint about this whole thing is that to me it's very clear that and you'll probably completely disagree with me, and that's fine. But to me, it's really clear that Jon Favreau really has a great picture of where he wants Din Djarin to go. He really loves the character of Fennec Shan, but he really does not really know Boba Fett as well in his own head.
Oh yeah,
Just in his own head. By comparison.
Oh,
No.
there's no question. I do want to get caught up on the chat though. Kendall, I agree. Look, with the time Grogu has spent with Luke, how strong could Grogu be? Remember, Grogu's 50. He spent a long time in a Jedi Temple before. He spent a lot of time being trained as a youngling before. He may have even been a Padawan before. And just because he seems to have this toddler-like behavior now doesn't mean that he's toddler-like. Let's just put that out there. Let's see. Get caught up.
He could have had some aggression as a part of protection. So
exactly,
you know.
exactly. I think some PTSD is struck in, and that regression is a manifestation of the PTSD. So that's my own thing. Peter Griffin, Bantha Diddle. That line was in there for Star Wars Meg specifically. I'm confident that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau said, you know what, we've got to put a line in for Star Wars Meg. Let's put in Bantha Diddle. Oh my goodness. Yes. RF Gaming Channel for today. Anyway, today until. Let's see.
Right. So I hate to cut this off early, but we need to get to the fan film if we're going to do it because we're on that hour now.
Yeah, we do. So there we go. Want to get here the real quick then through the rest of it. The ring world, that's a popular science fiction trope. I read a book back in the 70s, a science fiction book in the 70s that had a ring world much like this. There's been ring structures.
Ring world well before Halo.
Yeah, well before Halo and well before Star Wars ever used it. But Star Wars has other precedent for ring kind of things. Here you got a pile of Mandalore helmets that people picked up on. Let's see. Oh, okay. We already talked about that. Oh, the scene from Terminator. That was awesome.
Yes, that was a great scene.
Absolutely.
The bombing was incredible too. It was incredible. I mean, one of the best visuals in Star Wars ever.
Absolutely proving Bryce Dallas Howard deserves all the praise, all of it. And of course, the end one, I love that whole sequence there. It was entertaining. I laughed over and over and over again. It was funny, and I like how it turned out. Right, Pelimoto quickly becoming more and more popular. I think at first she was not so much, but now for sure she's getting there. I loved him. She's
still annoying, but in a lovable way.
In a lovable way, exactly. Him getting pulled over by the X-wings was great, right? Like the Popo showed up and pulled him over. That was great. And it's already been pointed out. One of the X-wing pilots was the body double for Luke Skywalker at the end of Mandalorian season 2. So that's the same dude that did the body double that was made into Luke. How easy would it be to have Luke Skywalker in the next episode, because we already have the dude doing shots. Right? Yeah. He's doing X-wing.
I wonder.
So there you go. The same dude showed up, so I think it's very likely. And he when he hits the equivalent of the nitro boost, so it had a lot of like muscle car, like George Lucas callbacks.
Completely right? Muscle car. I started laughing when I saw the carburetor with the blower.
The carburetor. It was awesome. It's like he's got the carburetor sitting on top of the hood. How perfect!
And it was like.
It was great. And when he hits the nitro,
listen to her purr.
He hits the nitro, zoom, he's gone. Right? He doesn't jump to hyperspace. He just, accelerated so fast that they were like, well, okay, we're not going to catch him. But there you can see that carburetor sitting right on front. Of course, they don't call it a carburetor, but that's what it was. It was a great show. I loved seeing Finnick show up at the end. All of it was great. So, and this dude here, this BD droid, super cute. Maybe it's Cal's droid, maybe it's not. We already talked about that a little bit. And there's all these Easter eggs.
I think it is. I mean, I just think that they're not going to show it without hinting it. I mean, it's just without leading that direction.
That's Max Lloyd-Jones. It was the body double for Luke, right? So that's the other pilot. The wizard bit. There was a lot of callbacks to Phantom Menace. They even pointed out, like, the ramp had the broken gate there that wasn't fixed from when Anakin broke it. So all of that. It was a great episode. Boba wasn't in it. There's all of that. We do need to get to the fan film. We did.
It was a great episode. Boba wasn't in it.
You mentioned. You mentioned before how Boba's character isn't. Look, the whole season hasn't been the Boba that I think a lot of people wanted to see and have been waiting to see break out.
Right.
The story is Boba's story between the Empire Strikes Back and the Mandalorian season 2 when we see him in some modern day. So that's what the story is. Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi. Sorry about that. Yeah, Return of the Jedi and Mando 2 plus some modern. It's the story of Boba Fett. It's who he is now and how he got there. And a lot of people aren't on board with that story. But it also shows how excited people are for Din Djarin over Boba Fett. Right? There's no question that in the general public at large, Din Djarin is more popular than Boba Fett. It's just
right, and that's, to me, that's a problem, and because I'm going to explain why. I don't have a problem with Boba changing. I don't think anybody has a problem with Boba changing. It's I think the expectation of how it's changed is the issue. Even though we're getting this story, it doesn't feel earned, and so I think that's the problem that we're getting. So, like, if I was telling the story, which I'm not, of course, I'm not, Jon Favreau, but the story would be kind of an Unforgiven kind of story, with William Money, being wanting to change, and that because he's recognized some things that have happened, but being brought back into that, and so this is what he's good at, kind of thing, and so that's the story I would have told, and so the story you get is a guy wanting to give up and then brought back into it, and he's brutal, and to me I think that's the story we wanted, but now we got this softer, kinder Boba Fett, but yet it doesn't feel like we've had the transition to that, and it's just that that's who he is now, and it's like he's been that way, and it doesn't feel. That's
who he's been for a long time, and I think if you go back to the famous fight scene between him and Cad Bane. We already see it develop there. So all the way back into Clone Wars and Dave Filoni's involvement there to now, that's who he's been for a very long time. It's just a lot of people aren't familiar with that character. So a couple of real quick rapid fire questions so we can get to the fan film. Will Cal Kestis be in the Book of Boba Fett? Oh, we lost a magic man. His phone may have died. We'll see. Will Cal Kestis be in the Book of Boba Fett? Perhaps, but I don't think this season. If he does, I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible. It's possible, but I'm not sure. I think it's more likely we might see him in the in the Bad Batch. So Cal Kestis in the Bad Batch. How old is Cal Kestis now? He's in his 40s. If he's still around, and he probably is. Let's see what else. Oh, yeah, the Darksaber.
He's going to be the same age as Boba Fett should be. Same age of what Din Djarin basically is. I mean, that's what gets me is that Boba Fett and Din Djarin are actually supposed to be pretty near the same age.
Interesting.
And so they should only be a couple of years apart. And then Cal Kestis is also around their same age. So
right. There's a lot of talk about the Darksaber being very heavy. That kind of goes back to Rebels when you see, Sabine Wren first start to use it. When she first gets hold of it and lights it, she goes, "Oh, it's heavy," and then she has to be trained. Once she starts training with it, it gets lighter and she gets more agile with it. And it's the sort of the same thing with Din Djarin. It's interesting that he trained with the armorer for a while. The question is, will we mirror Sabine's training with Cal Kestis, or not Cal Kestis, with Kanan Jarrus? Will we see Din Djarin train with Luke Skywalker?
I think that's what's going to happen.
Very well. Yeah. Very well.
So I think it's funny because if you actually mention it, one of the thought processes that if you look at the Jedi of course, in the prequels, they wield these swords, these sabers, like they're really light. But yet, if you look at how Luke wielded them, he wielded them much more like a bastard sword or a broadsword. And so where, the Jedi wield them like the long swords, which are not that much different, but they are a lighter weapon. And so, kind of interesting to show that, because that just means that there is a different mentality in training and how they're used.
Yeah. Well, and the Darksaber, I think, calls back to sort of Lucas's original view of what a lightsaber was versus what Lucas became. like he kept changing. Like one thing about George Lucas,
I'm just saying that they're medieval weapons, but. Right. So if you think about how a katana is used, for example, a katana is would be effectively a long sword, but
I get
it's
it.
a much lighter a weapon. And then, but if a medieval knight were to be given a katana, he would still use it like the broadsword that he's used to fighting with. So he would use it in this manner
that's true.
That would seem much heavier. And so the aspect of it is that what you have is this weapon that can be used this way if your mentality, if your training, if your thought process is right and you know how to operate it. But if you don't, then you use it like a different type of weapon, and and it seems like the sabers take on that mentality.
Well, that's what is coming, but let's be clear. George Lucas was inconsistent with how he treated it. Now people are filling in the blanks. The story is kind of getting filled out. Yeah, I know. But what they're doing here is going back to sort of the original thought of George, where they were heavy.
Continuity is for wimps.
It is.
That's a quote.
He was inconsistent. Lightsabers got light and agile over time, and then people just backstory wrote why and all of that.
Absolutely. So, that's what we've done with all Star Wars. To try to make it, good, because it has really great ideas.
I like this thought.
I really have got to go.
Okay. Well, we'll cover the rest of it without you. But sorry we didn't make it to the fan film. You want to briefly tell us about it?
Yes.
I'll
So
bring it up.
before I go, what I would like to just point out is that again, this is another Unreal Engine uh, makeup. I like the way they've done. They've taken from some other stuff. Obviously, they're templates, but and if you go in there, it's Vietnamese people who are doing trying to do their best English. But I like the story. It's very very interesting as they're trying to tell the story of an Inquisitor who is coming back to do what he's got to do. And I don't want to ruin it, let you watch it, but to find his sister quotes,
Right.
and you'll see these templates. But it's well done, and I enjoyed it for what it is, and I like the media of Unreal Engine for telling stories. I definitely would love to learn more so I can do it myself.
Yeah. All right. So we will let you go. I have it playing at 2x speed because it's only a 3-minute video. And we're already 2 minutes into another 30 seconds will be over and you see what the story does. The link to this video is in the description here. As we always say, please go out there, give it a view to encourage people who are making this content. Consider giving it a like, maybe subscribing, maybe not. You guys decide on your own, but it would be great if you all would go out there and give it a view. That would be great. All right, so that's the video, and we will let you go, my friend. Thank you for being here again, and I'm going to keep going with the chat, and there's some other things we want to talk about.
Thank you for having me. Sorry, I got to run early.
All right, take care.
All right, take care.
All right, bye. So Will says, is it possible Cal and Grogu knew each other? It is possible. Or he says it's possible. It is possible. And Cal Kestis would also have the PTSD side. That would be cool. Hey, Star Wars Theology. Good to see you here. Let me get caught up. Shanks, I love this. Again, one of Meg's fiercest supporters. Happy to have you here. So it did happen a long time ago in a galaxy far away. Christianity could be derived from Mandalorian culture. I did think there was an interesting part in there where Din asks the armor to make the chainmail for Grogu, and in that chainmail, he let me do this. Hold on one second. He talks about why won't this? Hold on a second. Just leave it, Santa, leave it. He talks about how the Jedi doctrine is opposite of the Mandalorian doctrine, where Mandalorians are about family and all of this, and the perceived doctrine of the Jedi is one of, there was what I was looking for. The perceived doctrine of the Jedi is individuality. So it's interesting. Dawn Basham. Hello, Dawn. Good to see you. Oh my goodness. So good. Let's see. What else do we have? There are many. Only one Darksaber. Yes. All right. Yep. Complex subject. I want to bring up the predictions for this week and talk about them a little bit. Encourage you all, if you have not, the predictions for week 6 are in the chat here. It's pinned to the top, as well as in the description. You'll find it. And I want to bring up the predictions for week 6, and we'll talk about. Chillmonger, Shmi did have a kid without a father. There's debate about that, but that's how it's told. At least that's the one way to read it. Let me bring this up. Here we go. I want to share this with you all. And we have 11 responses already. But here we've got Dawn. Thank you. I appreciate it. So here's Peter, I predicted 21 out of 20. So here's week 6, and you put your name in, and then we've got a series of questions. Let me see if I can enlarge this where you all can read it more easily. The first 2 questions, Boba or Fennec will kill someone. Those have been in every poll of the year and of the series and this season. And it changes, right? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Boba wasn't even in the last episode, and Fennec barely was. No kills for either one. The question is, will there be any kills this episode? Will they continue to follow Din Djarin as he goes to find Grogu, give him the chainmail, maybe train with Luke Skywalker a little bit before he returns back to Boba? If we follow Din Djarin and we don't get another episode of Boba in there, then it's very possible that the answer to both of these will be no. Oh my goodness. The other is maybe it's a split episode. Maybe we do get some Boba Fett and Fennec, and the fighting begins with with the Pikes, with the Pikes. So maybe the fighting will begin with the Pikes, and then maybe there will be some stuff going on. It's really hard to see. It's really hard to say. Peter says, "I think war starts in this episode." We'll get to this question in just a second. We see a flashback scene. I actually said no last week because I thought the flashbacks were done, but we did get a flashback scene, a flashback to early on with Mandalore, right? And so we had a Mandalore flashback, not a Boba. What do they call them? Back to tank flashbacks. We didn't get one of those, but we do have one. So will we get any kind of flashback scene here? It's hard to say. Really hard to say. We see the Slave One. It's been in most episodes. It wasn't in the last one, as Boba also wasn't in. Will we see the Boba Fett's gunship? The fire spray gunship, the Slave One. Will we see it? And then there's question 5. Boba and or Fennec recruit more muscle. This is sort of where we talk about Bosk. Will Bosk show up? Will we get other folks? Cad Bane. Cad Bane was rumored early on, and we've got a question about him. Will he call in some other folks to help him in the fight with the Pikes? The question 6, and I had this question come to me on Discord in a DM from Yogurt. Yogurt asks, when you say war breaks out, what do you mean? Could it be the attack on, what was it, Archduke Ferdinand, right? From World War I? Would it be like that? Does that mean war breaks out? No, I think that precipitates a war, but it's not war breaking out. So what you might have is when war breaks out, that means that it's on, right? It's on. We're actually going to battle army against army, not an assassination, not a one-off thing that will lead to war, that will actually start the war, but actual war breaks out. So that's the question. War breaks out. That's some clarification on that question. Boba and or Fennec go off-world. We've been talking, will Boba go to Navarro, for example? And will he see Greef Karga? That was the speculation before the last episode, because there was thoughts that it would be Navarro. I think our friend Jason Ward over at MakingStarWars.net said he saw some Navarro scenes. From what I saw in his review of Book of Boba Fett episode 5, is that what he saw was actually that ring world, and he thought it was Navarro, but it wasn't. So will he go off-world? Will Boba and or Fennec go off-world to get some of this muscle that they talked about? That's a question, yes or no. We see another clone like Rex or a Bad Batch member, somebody like that. Will we see another clone? Could it even be Omega? Will we get Omega? Will we get any other clone show up? And that's question 8. 9, Boba rides a Rancor. That was leaked some time ago. The scene was leaked some time ago. And will it be this episode or will it be the next? We don't know. We don't know. The boss cameo, there it is. An Ewok cameo. I put this in because when Tamura and Ming-Na Wen were taking one of those quizzes, they looked at a thing on their phone, and it had a picture of Ewoks along with other characters that said, the question had to do with one of these species, and they talked about Ewoks. And they're looking at a picture of an Ewok. It wasn't a Jawa they were talking about. Some people say, well, Ming-Na corrected Tamura to say Jawa. He was looking at a picture of an Ewok, and he said the Ewoks were a lot of fun to work with, and he clicked on Ewok. So that's the question. Did they interact with Ewoks, Ming-Na, and Tamura? And when Tamura was interacting with an Ewok, was it an actual? Was he as Boba Fett, or was he as perhaps Rex? Right. We go back to this question up here. Was he maybe Rex? So that's that question. Luke Skywalker cameo. We think that we're going to see Luke Skywalker and Grogu this next episode. So that's will it happen on screen or off screen? Will he have already met with Grogu and give him the chainmail? Will Grogu show up without Luke? Will he meet? What will happen? This is where you get a guess. 14, Cobb Vanth. Might this be some of the muscle they recruit? But Boba doesn't really know Cobb Vanth. Cobb Vanth had his armor, but Din Djarin certainly knows Cobb Vanth. And when it comes to recruiting muscle, would Din Djarin go recruit Cobb Vanth? I put in this one, Maz Kanata cameo, because there was an early rumor, and I think this came from Jason Ward as well, that Maz Kanata's castle was seen. So would they go to Maz Kanata's castle? Where do they find Luke and Grogu? Do they find Luke and Grogu on at Maz's castle? Or do they find them on the Forest Moon of Endor? We don't know. So I put Maz Kanata in there because that was an early rumor that her castle was seen in some of the artwork or some of the sets. Kira, we've been talking about Crimson Dawn, and are they really the big bads? There's been some hints that perhaps the case, and they've been building up Kira's character in other works like the comics series. So Kira has shown up multiple times in this kind of time frame. So could she show up? That's a good question. We don't know. Cad Bane cameo, he was rumored. Han Solo was rumored, and then Crimson Dawn's mentioned. So all of that is there. And then here you get to make your guess. Something in the episode that you think is going to happen, but maybe we don't have any. You can put whatever you like in there. Maybe you want to put in there about Dengar. Maybe you want to put Dengar shows up, or maybe you want to put in Din Djarin flies in his Naboo N1 starfighter. Maybe you want to put in a Grogu rides in the N1 starfighter. Anything like that, you guys could put in there as your free guess. Or maybe you've got another theory, right? Anything that you may theorize could happen, might happen. You could put in there is that fill in the blank. What we will not allow is Boba Fett takes off his helmet. Boba Fett puts on his helmet. Din Djarin takes off his helmet or puts on like anything that is like Fennec Shan talks to Boba. No, those don't count. You can't put those kind of things in your in your predictions. Here we go. Shanks, thank you for this. Give our Star Wars Meg, Santa Fitz, and Sheev a plug with some love. Oh, yeah, we got to get Filoni and Favreau to give us a shout out. Get our subs up. Thank you so much. I know Meg is coming up on 100,000 subscribers. Really, really proud of her. She's does so good. And speaking of her, Hoth Ambience is the music that you hear in the background. Star Wars Meg from Meg's Cantina. She has a second channel if you're not aware of it. Meg's Cantina. She writes music and she has some ambience music, this kind of thing. So that's what we've got going on here. Meg has given us permission to use her Hoth Ambience as background for here. So there's all of that. Let's see. So, Dawn, oh, come on, Santa. No freebies this time. We had freebies during the Bad Batch. We let people do predictions that were freebies. So, look, it's a lot of fun. And if you do well, then what we do is put you on the Wall of Fame. It's right there. You can see Bouncing Birdie and Hammy the Man, James Washington, and Peter Griffin. Peter's been here in the chat. All got 15 out of 20 this last week. Santa got 14. And so you'll see Abby and Brian, Dale, Dylan from All New Nerds, Fanjecture, Adam made it on Star Wars Meg and TVC Mackin and Xander. Those all made the Wall of Fame because they tied Santa. So if you think you would enjoy seeing your name there in the crawler, you would like me to mention you on a future live stream, give it a shot. Give it a shot. Oh, look, Tiff, praying for your mom. I hope your mom's doing better. I saw your video. I watched that. And our thoughts and prayers are with her. So Tiffany, Meg's music is incredible. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I think that covers all of our topics for today. Again, the link to the Fanfilm is in the description here. If you guys do us a favor, go out there and give it a like. Just let them know that we recognize the work they do to create Star Wars content from other fans. And it's a great way for folks to kind of express their enthusiasm for this franchise. And we love Star Wars here. We love talking about Star Wars. Missed Meg in the chat today. Meg must have been busy, but hopefully we'll have our week, end of week Star Wars news roundup with Meg tomorrow. Tomorrow, Star Wars Meg and I do that. And if you would do me a huge favor, consider subscribing to the channel, maybe joining as one of our channel members. We do monthly giveaways of Hasbro toys, and some we're getting ready to give away one of those SH Figure Arts Boba Fett's. So it's $100 figure that we're going to give that away next month. We've got vintage collection toys, Black Series collection toys, and some premium figures that we have purchased to give away to our channel members, those who support us at $2, $5, or $10 a month. That would be great. Consider liking, consider subscribing. That would be fantastic. Chillmonger. Oh, Meg's liberating the elves while you're busy. Oh, well, I better go check then. I got to make sure she doesn't let any of those elves loose. You guys take care. Chillmonger and I are trying to schedule a live stream together. I want to do that soon. And likewise, my friend Blackman Lavis is trying to get us scheduled with he and Al. So for those of you who have been around the Den of Nerds for a long time, you know who Al and Lavis are. We're going to try to get in there and do a live stream with them as well. So we have, at the end of every stream, we have been doing everybody's favorite portion of the show, our Mike Porter Dad Joke of the Day. The Mike Porter Dad Joke of the Day brought to you by Mike Porter himself. Oh, if you guys would follow him on Twitter, he published, this is where I get these. I get them from Mike's Twitter account, and he's been so gracious to give us so many Star Wars related dad jokes. Today's a really good one. I love it. Did you know that Snoke was a pyro? He likes to start fires. Do you know why? Yeah, because whenever there's Snoke, there's fire. Oh, Mike Porter, thank you so much for that, my friend. We really appreciate that. So much fun. You guys, I've had a lot of fun. Check my DMs. Okay, is there something I need to do before we log out? Oh, this is good. Okay, I'll put this up for folks to see. I'll check the DMs and we'll share some things, and then we got to get out of here. Let's. I need to move this. Hold on one second. Put it there. All right. This is good. Wizard. A lot of people love that line. It was so good. People laughing at the Mike Porter dad joke. So I've got to go. I got to make sure Meg hasn't liberated too many of the elves. We got to make sure we're getting all the toys made for Christmas this year. And when we can. Yes, we need a Bantha Diddle dad joke. We may get some Bantha Diddle jokes tomorrow with Meg if we're able to do our live stream together. I got to go make sure she hasn't let too many elves loose. So you guys have a wonderful day. I've had a lot of fun talking with you again. Have a great day. And until next time, my friends. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, and may the Force be with you always. Bye-bye.